Welcome to the third episode of our series of nature, appreciating nature. I thought today I will take one. I'm standing in the KBR National Park and it's raining. Not raining too much, but raining a little bit, and it's absolutely fantastic because I'm standing here in the rain because I love getting wet in the rain. It's one of the most beautiful things. One of the benefits of living in the tropics is that you don't have to worry about getting wet in the rain. You're not made of salt, so you won't melt away. And this is not the UK or Canada where you can catch a cold and die, but hot weather, rain is absolutely fantastic. As you can see, I'm standing with this beautiful reed bed behind me. This is a water conservation pit. It's not a natural thing. It has been made in this forest to retain whatever water comes. As you can see, there is not too much of water because we've had a very dry summer, but we just started getting some rain, and alhamdulillah, we look like if this continues, then at least for this year it should solve our water crisis. We have I'm sure you've read, and I'm sure you're getting a lot of videos and so on about the water crisis facing the world. Believe me, there's no exaggeration. Not only is there no exaggeration, but if anything, the case is understated. What I strongly recommend is, those of you who have not seen it, you must watch this absolutely fantastic Oscar-winning documentary called An Inconvenient Truth. An Inconvenient Truth. It is a documentary, and it's narrated by none other than Al Gore, the man who the people of the United States decided to vote against, and they chose George Bush Jr. It's a matter of conjecture what the world would have been, and what the US would have been, and what the rest of the world would have been if they had chosen Al Gore instead of George Bush. But politics is not my agenda here. I'm just mentioning that because that documentary, An Inconvenient Truth, is something that I very strongly recommend. Every single one of you must watch it. Make it compulsory watching in your schools, in your colleges, in your homes, associations, clubs, you name it, in everywhere. Make sure that people watch that thing. There are DVDs available. You can download it on the net and so on and so forth. It gives you a very, very clear picture of what the world is coming to and what it is likely to come to unless we wake up. The second thing I want you to read is a book called When the Rivers Run Dry by a man called Fred Pierce. I hope I got the name right, but anyway, the book is called When the Rivers Run Dry, and the second name is Pierce, P-E-A-R-C-E, and I think the first name is Fred. Again, an absolutely eye-opening book. The water crisis in the world is, as I said, whatever you hear, multiply that by 100 times, that is the actual reality. What we hear is not the reality. People are still being polite. People are still finding it difficult to believe that things can actually be so bad. Things are actually much worse. They're not so bad, they are much worse. So I think that it's high time we realize that. Now, what must we do? Apart from getting wet in the rain, I think this is one of the most wonderful things to be able to do, to have a place like this where I'm not getting wet in the rain on a dirty street with cars buzzing around me. I'm getting wet in the rain in the middle of a forest. That's something to be truly grateful for, to say that here's the rain, and I'm saying I'm grateful and the rain is increasing. I'm even more grateful that the rain is increasing. Anyway, so the point is that what must we do? Number one thing we must do is conserve water. Two ways. One is rainwater harvesting. Make sure that you push for this thing in your cities, in your towns, in your individual homes, rainwater harvesting. Number two is water usage. There are now some taps with adapters on them where you get a little spray of water instead of the big flow of water, and that is a beautiful thing because you get your job done at a fraction of the usage of water that it would actually otherwise you would have used. So install those taps. The whole contraption, we have done that in our masjid, we have done that at home. The whole thing costs less than 150 rupees. In dollars, I don't know how much is 150. It's like 20 cents or something. So make sure you install that. in your homes and in your public buildings and so on. So you are conserving water in terms of how much you use. Do not have tubs in baths, please. I don't think I should even need to say that. Don't even have showers. Use a bucket and use as little water as you can. Third thing to do is to recycle water, which is all the wastewater, especially water from the wash basins, water from your kitchen sinks, the washing machines not the ones, the clothes washing machine with detergent, but non-detergent washing machines, dishwashers and so on. Recycle that water. Simplest way to recycle is just let it go into your gardens. If you have gardens, just let the water go, water your plants with that. That water percolates, goes down and becomes part of the groundwater, which is good enough. Otherwise, let it go into a soak pit in your yard, which is the easiest thing in the world to construct. Let the water go in there and it will soak, and the water becomes part of the groundwater system. So three things. One is to rainwater harvesting, is to harvest the rainwater, don't let it run off. Number two is reduce the amount of water usage, and three is to recycle the water that we actually get. I think these are things which must be drilled into the minds of people. Believe me, we really don't have time. We are running out of time, and it's not funny at all. I am old enough to say that maybe I will disappear into the atmosphere before this happens, but believe me, a lot of you watching this, you aren't going nowhere. You're going to sit here and watch that thing happen, and it won't be funny, because if we are in a world where people are saying, people bandy about these things, they say wars will be fought over water. I mean, everything in this world, we seem to live in an environment where everything has to come down to killing each other. I mean, this is such a idiotic and such a negative way of life that we have chosen for ourselves. Anyway, let me not go into that. Really and seriously think about water conservation. To come back here, as I said, I'm standing in this beautiful forest. I've got this lake behind me. Don't do what I'm doing here. If you ever go to a forest, don't just go to a strange lake and stand there, because if there are crocodiles, then there will be the video person taking the video will get a nice kill shot, and that won't be nice for you. I am doing this because I know there are no crocs in here. So always safety comes first. In the interest of anything, don't sacrifice safety. Do what you know. Where you have a doubt, stay away from that. But here's a lake. Now if you look at this, I've got this reed bed behind me. As we walked in here, we had some lapwings which gave off their call, and they flew away, their alarm call. There were some jacanas here, and the jacanas also went back to where they are, where they are hidden. There will be small fish in this lake. There will be amphibians, frogs and toads and so on the outskirts. There are probably a couple of small turtles in here. I know there are no crocs. And this whole forest also, it has, as I said yesterday, the beauty of this forest is that this used to be part of the palace of the Nizam. It was called Chiran Palace. The palace is still here, but the whole area of 300 acres has been converted into a national park. The beauty of that is because it was a part of a palace, it was a private land. This forest never had the kind of experience that similar forests had in this area, which is cattle grazing, people cutting firewood and things like that. So this forest is more or less preserved as it was. Now we are looking at semi-deciduous forests in the Deccan Plateau, so you are not going to see the thick stands that you might be used to if you go to North India, to Assam. If you go to South India, to the Western Ghats, to the Anamales, you would find much thicker forests. This is a different forest, and it has its own beauty. And this is the thing about forests. Every forest has its own beauty. They are not all alike, and that's part of the diversity of nature. This is the part of the Khudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is created this immense variety of things, where you never get bored to look at things and say, I've seen trees. No, there's no such thing as a tree. Every tree is different, every branch of every tree is different, every leaf on every branch of every tree is different. As I'm talking to you, I'm hearing some frogs at the back. I don't think you can hear those sounds, but it's very nice to. I usually come. I don't come and sit and talk. This is for you. I just come and sit and listen and just try to identify the sounds that I'm hearing, and I suggest you do that. Go to a piece of forest, just go sit down quietly in one place and then listen. Let your ears get attuned to the silence. You will find that, like me and most of us, if we come from an environment which is full of noise, your ears will buzz for a while, but after a while they'll settle down, and then you actually start hearing things, and that's absolutely beautiful. You will hear crickets, you will hear frogs, you will hear birds, depending on which part of the world you are, what kind of forest. You will hear mammals, animals. There's nothing. There's no saying what you will hear. So listen to that, hear it, try to identify the sound, and if you hear what looks like a tiger, then get up that tree very fast. Thank you very much for watching and listening. All power to you, and do let us know what you think of these videos. I hope you like them. The idea is to get people used to new ideas, get people used to nature, get people to appreciate nature, and not just live mechanical lives like robots. That's the kind of stuff that we have become used to. Thank you very much once again, and all power to you. Thank you very much.